Hello, I'm Robin, a volunteer member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, a nonpartisan organization. We will be discussing the pros and cons of a regular property tax levy lift for support of public library services. Now, speakers will have 120 seconds, 2 minutes, for each of the 5 questions to discuss a point of view, plus an opening statement. Here's a brief description of the levy. The Board of Trustees of Kitsap Regional Library adopted Resolution 2025-03 concerning its regular property tax levy. This proposition authorizes an increase to the district's levy from 27 cents to 39 per $1,000 of assessed valuation to be collected in 2026, believing this funding is necessary to sustain public library operations and services. The new levy amount would be used to compute the limitations for subsequent levies as provided by Chapter 84.55 Revised Code of Washington. Now, should this proposition be approved by voters, the league has developed some questions to help decide, and we've invited a speaker for the levy lift, which is Shannon Peterson, chair of the committee for the measure. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you so much.
Let's begin with your opening statement.
Thank you. Libraries are the heart of our communities. No matter where you live in Kitsap County, you have access to a neighborhood library and its powerful services. With 9 libraries, mobile services, 400,000 physical items, 63,000 digital items, computers, online access, and educational programs, there are countless ways that Kitsap Regional Library serves us. For 23 years, state law has limited public library funding to a 1% annual increase. And it probably goes without saying that Kitsap County's population continues to grow. In order to keep our library sustainable and successful, funding must keep up with growth and inflation. By voting yes, you will ensure the library provides essential services for everyone. Regardless of age, background, or location, Kitsap Regional Library is there. With your support, we can keep all 9 libraries operating, sustain library hours and events, invest in early learning and K-12 resources, keep technology current, and perform necessary maintenance. Our community is stronger when our library provides the best possible services to everyone.
Thank you. Our first question for you is, do you believe the proposition will support the needs of the community? And can you explain?
Absolutely. Kitsap Regional Library centers its work on the diverse communities in Kitsap County and is constantly evolving to support changing needs. Of course, it offers a wide variety of free physical and digital collections, but voters may not be aware that it also provides 6 to 7 day a week access to technology, meeting spaces supporting everything from first birthday parties to strategic planning sessions, and programs centered on early learning, STEM, workforce readiness, making and interest-based learning, and social connectedness. It offers major initiatives such as summer learning with the goal of reducing learning loss during the summer months, and To the Library, a program which invites all 3rd graders in Kitsap's 5 school districts to visit their local library for a field trip, lunch with staff, and an in-depth overview of resources available. This is such an important program for 3rd graders as they transition from learning to read to reading to learn. And finally, Kitsap Regional Library strategically partners with a number of local service providers and not-for-profit agencies in order to stretch public dollars and make resources more accessible to all.
Thank you. How much will this proposition cost a Kitsap County property owner?
I'm going to backtrack a little bit and say that in 2017, voters approved a levy lift at 43 cents per assessed value. And today, that rate has declined to 27 cents due to Washington State's 1% cap on annual revenue growth for public agencies. So while the cost of books, technology, utilities, benefits, and wages has continued to rise, the library's revenue has not kept pace with this inflation. The proposed reset that the library is asking for now is 39 cents, which is below the originally approved rate and would cost the average homeowner of a $500,000 property an additional $60 a year annually, or just $5 a month. So about the cost of 2 hardcover books per year or 1 delicious latte per month.
Thank you. How will the proceeds of the levy lift be distributed across the county, and is it a fair distribution?
The library serves more than 107,000 households across Kitsap County through its 9 neighborhood branches and a mobile services department that delivers materials to homes, senior centers, and assisted living facilities throughout the entire county. In 2024, the library had more than 86,000 library card users that were actively used by families, students, educators, job seekers, and more. In this levy, the library is asking voters to consider a reset. This proposal is about sustaining, not expanding services. They are not adding new buildings or significantly changing services, but instead working to preserve collections, programs, and resources that are well utilized by communities in every area of the county every day.
All right, thank you. And is it the right time to pass this proposition? And if so, why?
The library has stretched the investors that voters made in 2017 a long way. 8 years without a rate adjustment is frankly pretty rare for a public agency. And if this levy does not pass, the library will face a structural deficit beginning in 2026. At that point, decisions would need to be made about reductions in programs and collections, and maintenance and technology upgrades would be deferred. There are many uncertainties in the current economic climate, and the Vote Yes committee believes that a strong library system is critical in supporting community growth as well as supporting community through hardship.
Thank you. Well, lastly, please address what we haven't asked you that you believe is important for us to know and understand as we vote yes or no on our ballots.
Thank you. 96% of Kitsap Regional Library's budget comes from local property taxes. Although changes at the state and federal levels may impact the library indirectly, Kitsap Regional Library truly relies on this community to support the work that it does. So please join us and vote yes to ensure robust public libraries now and for generations to come.
Thank you, Shannon, for your time today. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, thanks for watching, and please share this video. Also, remember to vote on August 5th. Hello, I'm Robin, a member of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates and works to provide information about the candidates and issues before the voters. We will be discussing the pros and cons of a regular property tax levy lid lift for support of public library services that will appear on your primary ballot, which you should receive in the mail around mid-July. Here's a brief description of the proposition. The Board of Trustees of Kitsap Regional Library adopted Resolution 2025-03 concerning its regular property tax levy. This proposition authorizes an increase to the district's levy from 27 cents to 39 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation to be collected in 2026. Believing this funding is necessary to sustain public library operations and services. The new levy amount would be used to compute the limitations for subsequent levies as provided by Chapter 84.55 RCW. Now, should this proposition be approved by voters? The League has developed questions to help decide. Though there will be 120 seconds for an opening statement and each of 5 questions to discuss a point of view. Joining us by telephone to speak against the measure is committee member Susan Schultheis. Welcome, Susan. Let's begin with your opening statement.
Okay. Well, it really makes me sad that I have to go suggest that we vote against this because I really support the libraries. Libraries have been very important throughout my life and a great source of joy and peace. But I am deeply concerned about the effect of all these different new and improved taxes that are coming. And this one is kind of sneaky because it looks like it should not be that bad. But when you add it to all the other stuff that's out there, this is going to get very difficult for the low income and lower middle class people who are struggling already. That library admits that this is not a desperately needed money that they actually have got. They were all in the black at the end. They had over $1,000+, and but then they suggest that we can do stuff like have parties and take kids to the zoo in Seattle and stuff like that. Well, I'm sorry, I just don't see that being the way we want to do that. And so it makes me sad to have to say, you know, that we should be giving them the money which we already were. Okay, thank you.
And well, thank you, Susan. Our first question is, do you believe the proposition will support the needs of the community? And please explain.
I think that it will help in some ways because just like everything else, the cost of books and things are going up. But I also think that suggesting that having programs where we take teenagers elsewhere out of the county to do something and using library funds is not a logical thing. My other concern, and I will restate this repeatedly, is that this is really going to start impacting people who are the low income and the low middle class. I have already received my my new property tax thing, and they have doubled the value of my manufactured home. And, you know, that's just crazy. And I'm going to question it and see what I can do. But that means that I'm going to be paying double what I was paying before for libraries. And it's going to be not something that I use that much. And I have concerns that it's not going to support the needs of the community because Wi-Fi is a huge issue, and that's why a lot of people go to the library, is to use the Wi-Fi. The homeless and folks like that go there a lot of times because they can charge their phones and they can use the Wi-Fi to, you know, make calls and stuff like that. That's great. If that's what we want to do, if we can figure out a way to reach out for that, that'd be wonderful. But doing stuff, suggesting that they're going to have programs that are unspecified, that are going to be helpful for the thing for the community just doesn't make sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Our next question, how much will this proposition cost a Kitsap County property owner?
It will depend on a couple things, but we were using the previous amount of money that was estimated before they sent out the new property tax things. And we were figuring it was going to be about $60 per $100,000 on a house. Now, you know, on first glance, you're like, yeah, $60 isn't that big. When I was working, $60 was what I spent on Starbucks. Now I'm not working, and $60 is a decision of whether I'm going to fill my car or not, which also has had the taxes increased on the gas tax, and or that kind of thing. If you're really low income, it can make the difference between your kids getting shoes. You know, we all have had times where we've looked at something and decided that this was not as important as that, and we go away. Well, now we're going to start doing it even more. I have some young friends who are still working who are really stuck because they have jobs that require them to drive. And the increased cost of the licensing, the cost of the gas, and the cost for their home, in many cases has meant that they did not buy the house that they were planning to buy, that they are still renting because they can't afford it. $60 is not much, but it's a lot when you don't have a lot. Thank you.
How will the proceeds of the levy lift be distributed across the county, and is it a fair distribution?
Well, from the information that the committee was able to obtain, there was not much clarification about what the money was going to be used for. They talked about that, they were going to be able to buy more books. Okay, that's cool. But then they talked about they were going to be able to provide more summer programs. And like someone on the committee said, it sort of said, and our programs are going to be sparkly and bright and everybody's going to be so enthusiastic, but we can't tell you about them yet. And and I kind of agree that it was not clear. This kind of felt like a money grab to me. Like they were saying, oh, look, we can increase the amount we're asking for. And instead of saying, hey, let's move it up to 30 if we can show that we have a need. They didn't have to show a need because they were in the black. And it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. There was not enough explanation of why they wanted more money. And that's why I had to join the committee to say no. Thank you.
Is this the right time to pass this proposition, and explain why, please?
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say no, this is not the right time to pass this because we are just beginning to feel the effects of the bills that were signed earlier this year. And it is starting to really pinch people, whether people believe it or not. If you have young people in your life who are trying to establish themselves and want to buy a house and things like that, things have gotten quite difficult. And they're nickel and diming this. They have just announced that they're increasing the price for a wedding license to $100. And now it's been 25 years since I had to get a marriage license. It was not even nearly that much. And I have some family members who have made a decision that they're not going to have the big wedding that they were talking about, and that they'll go to like Idaho and get married there and then come back and have a big celebration, because it is cheaper to do it that way than to go through and all the stuff. But the other problem is that so many of these costs are creeping up on us and we're not seeing it till all of a sudden, boom, it's there. And again, this sounds, $60 per 100,000 sounds like nothing, but it's not. It's a lot when you start adding all the other stuff. Thank you.
Honestly, Susan, what haven't we asked that you believe is important for us to understand as we vote yes or no on our ballots?
I think one of the biggest concerns that we all had was the effect on the low income and the very poor, the folks that are just hanging on, still are in an apartment, but one good big bill is going to push them out and have them living in cars. And there is more of those people than you would believe out there. And there are seniors who are going to probably be looking seriously at selling their home because they can't afford to keep it going with the taxes that have gone up and with all the side stuff. It's just sad that there's so many bills coming and we don't realize it. Again, $60 per 100,000 sounds like so little, but it's a huge amount when you start talking about, a $300,000, $500,000, $1 million home. Then we're talking big money. And, that's what we're not talking about is all these other bills that are coming. And that there's no new programs, clear programs. They didn't say, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this. They just said, well, you know, one of the programs that we did before was we sent kids to the zoo and they had a great time. Well, hell yeah. But that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear, what are they doing? You know, are we going to expand the system? None of that was discussed. This was just said, oh, hey, you know, we're doing good things. Just as a quick note, they are, according to their own stats, they are only actually serving 5% of the population of Kitsap County. If you start to asking people, when was the last time when you were at the library, most of them would say it's been a couple of years. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan, for sharing your views. I'm Robin Lawless. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, thanks for watching, and please share this video. Remember to return your ballot by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August 5th.